Have you ever wondered why some people seem to change their lives while others stay trapped in the same patterns for decades? Maybe you told yourself, I'm just wired this way. I've always been anxious. I've never been disciplined. I'm too old to change. For years, science believed something similar. Researchers once thought the adult brain was mostly fixed after childhood. If you didn't develop certain abilities early, that was simply your reality. Then neuroscience flipped the table. Today, we know the brain is constantly changing. Every conversation, every habit, every emotion, every repeated thought leaves a physical fingerprint inside the brain. This process is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by strengthening, weakening, and forming new neural connections throughout life. Welcome into Thoughts of the Challenge. And I am your host, your boy Mito. And we are back at it again with another session. See, today I bring you the understanding and the science breakdown of neuroplasticity. And over the next couple episodes, we're going to try to put together an understanding that is relatable, that can be taught between you and I, because let's be real here. I am not a neuroscientist here. I take in the lessons, I take in the studies, and I am here to help because I want to be helpful. So let's get this together. I will give you 3 steps to help guide you through, in which if you've been keeping up with the podcast, then you already have heard these steps once or twice, but I'm telling you now, these steps work magic if you learn to take them in the way it is meant to fix you, guide you, protect you, and bring you towards a new step of life. Your brain is always listening. Let that sink in. Your experiences don't just shape your story, they shape your biology. The brain you have today isn't exactly the brain you had yesterday or the day before or last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And if that's true, then the person you're becoming is not determined by who you've been. It's determined by what you repeatedly practice that changes everything. Become the invisible sculptor. Imagine walking through a forest. The first time you walk, every step is difficult. Branches scratches your arm, tall grass slows your pace. There isn't a path. Now imagine walking the same exact route every day. Eventually, the grass disappears, the dirt becomes smooth, the trail almost pulls you forward. Your brain works in a remarkably similar fashion. Neurons that repeatedly activate together strengthen their communication. Over time, frequently used neural pathways become more efficient, while pathways that are rarely used tend to weaken. Neuroscientists often summarize this idea with Donald Hemm's famous principle. Neurons that fire together, wire together. If you listen to Joe Dispenza the way I do, you hear this very so often. You hear this from many neuroscientists, from many neuro teachers, from many lessons above and below. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This doesn't mean thoughts magically become reality. It means repeated mental and behavioral patterns become easier for your brain to repeat. You practice worry, your brain becomes efficient at worrying. You practice gratitude, those networks become easier to access. Practice avoidance becomes automatic. The brain isn't judging you, it's adapting. That's its job. So often we live inside the misrepresentation of life. Many people believe life is happening to them. But when you think about it, life is happening through patterns they never realized they were rehearsing. Think about someone learning to drive. At first, every moment requires attention. Hands, mirrors, pedals, traffic. Everything feels overwhelming. Months later, they're driving home while thinking about dinner. What changed? The road? No, the brain. Repetition turned effort into automation. Now ask yourself, what emotional habits have you automated? Have you practiced fear? Have you rehearsed self-doubt? Have you become fluent in criticism? The brain doesn't distinguish between useful repetition and harmful repetition. It simply learns. Now, let me give you some real life evidence that I happened to come across. One of the most famous demonstration of neuroplasticity came from studies of London taxi drivers. To earn their license, drivers spent years mesmerizing thousands of streets and landmarks. Brain imaging found that regions involved in spatial memory, particularly the hippocampus, differed from comparison groups, suggesting that prolonged application training was associated with measurable changes in the brain. The lesson isn't that everyone should memorize city streets. No, it's that sustained practice can reshape the brain. Stroke rehabilitation offers another powerful example. Many people recover abilities once thoughts permanently lost because healthy brain regions can reorganize and take over some functions through intensive rehabilitation. Recovery varies from person to person, but these cases demonstrate the remarkable capacity of the brain to adapt. The message isn't that change is easy. It's that change is biologically possible. Now, I'm going to give you 3 steps to begin rewiring your brain. Again, we have used these steps many times before, but it is remarkable just how easy these steps can be put into your everyday lives, and also incredible once you start to really put it into effect. Step 1, become aware before you try to change. You cannot rewrite a story you refuse to read. Awareness is where neuroplasticity begins. Ask yourself, what thoughts do I repeat every day without questioning? Seriously, what is it that's going in, out, in, out, in and out on a regular basis that keeps you stuck in the emotional state that puts you in a place where you don't want to be? Why do you continue to wake up and go to a job you hate? Why do you continue to live in a life that you are miserable? Why do you continue to feel like you're lonely, you're anxious, you're stressed, you're down in the world? Why? What do you, what thoughts do I repeat every day without questioning? Think that through. Write those answers down and become aware of what that looks like. What emotions feel familiar even when it hurts? Realize how much your emotional baggage continues to put you in hurtful situations, in hurtful placements, and in a world where you cannot find yourself building. Instead, you find yourself destroying. Is this belief based on evidence or repetition? Really guide yourself into understanding whether you have full on evidence or what's taught this through repeating it over and over again. Awareness interrupts autopilot. Albert Einstein once said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Step 2, practice small changes constantly. I find this one to be one of the biggest key cores of the steps because big transformations are usually built from tiny repetitions. We often put ourselves in places where we want to accomplish the big goals right away. And we think that because we set these goals, we can manage to get them because we know ourselves, right? But instead, we put this high expectation up here, and then we find ourselves slowly progressing and then being upset when we're not up here. Start down here. Work your steps up here. You can't jump to the top of the staircase without walking all the steps. When you first go to a gym, you don't expect to start pushing 100-pound weights. You got to start small before you can overextend yourself and then find yourself incapable of ever pushing weight again. The brain changes through repeated experience, not one burst of motivation. You want to, you put a goal to read a book, but you don't ever pick up the book. And you feel like every time you start reading, it puts you to sleep or you're not interested in the story because other things are on your mind. Start by just reading a page, then read another page. Before you know it, you read a chapter. Before you know it, you read 2 chapters. And then you read half the book. And then you found out you're already on another book. If you want to start getting healthier, instead of setting the goal to run miles, start with walking 10 minutes. Go down the block, come back. Go down the block, come back. Next day, go around the corner, then come back. Next day, do a square around, and then find yourself doing these more longer walks. And then you start jogging, and then you start running, and then you find yourself running miles. Small actions repeated constantly give the brain new pathways to strength. Ask yourself, what is one small action I can repeat for the next 30 days? Let's take the walking example. You wanna get to running a mile within 30 days? Start one day walking a block. The next day walking 2 blocks. The next day doing the neighborhood. The next day jogging it. Then the next week running it. Before you know it, you'll be running a mile within that 30 days. Also ask, am I chasing perfection instead of consistency? See, the goal is not going to be perfect, but if you're consistent, the goal's going to come. If you keep consistently pushing yourself, the goal will always find its way to you. Emily Dickinson said, the brain is wider than the sky. Stop pushing yourself down by setting yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for greatness, one small action at a time. Step 3, challenge your comfort zone. Seriously, people, comfort is the killer of all dreams. You get comfortable, you stop working. You get comfortable, you stop trying. You get comfortable, you lose your determination on what you truly want in this world. Brain grows when it encounters manageable challenges. Learning a language, playing an instrument, changing routines, having difficult conversations, trying again after failure. These experiences demand adaptation, and adaptation is the engine of neuroplasticity. Research continues to show that learning and challenging the brain throughout life supports cognitive health. Seriously, get yourself out of your comfort zone and start looking forward to being uncomfortable. Ask yourself, where have I become comfortable because change feels uncomfortable? What challenge would my future self thank me for facing today? Remember, neurons that fire together, wire together. Get yourself out there and rewire these pathways to become the future that you have already asked for and are determined on becoming. Maybe you spent your years believing you were broken. Maybe you confused familiarity with identity. But neuroscience offers something extraordinary. Your past has shaped your brain. It has not sentenced it. Every day you every day you are teaching your brain what to become. Every repeated action casts another vote for the person you are becoming. So ask yourself one final question. If your brain is always learning, what lessons have you been teaching it? And what lessons will you begin teaching it today? Because healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about training your brain to remember the person you've always been capable of becoming. Before you go, take a moment and picture the life you keep seeing in your mind. The version of you who is healthier, more present, more at peace, more focused, more financially secure, more confident. Whatever that version looks like for you, that person is not created in one big moment. They are created in the small decisions you make when nobody is watching. You do not have to have the whole path figured out today. You just have to choose the next step that honors the vision, keeps the promise. Remember after the setbacks. Take the walk, make the call, open the notebook, start again. Your dream is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to believe that your life is worth showing up for. So stay committed to the person you are becoming. One decision, one day, one promise at a time. And remember, the future you dream about is built by the choice you make after this moment. We'll see you in the next challenge. And with that, this is Thoughts of the Challenge. And I am your host, your boy Mito. I will see y'all later.